Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for some more horse rider Pilates. We're going to be focusing on your hips and glutes today. Such a key area for your seat control and your ability to apply accurate and precise and effective leg aids. So let's get going. We're going to start off just loosening off, getting everything working together. So we're going to do some walking on the spot, making sure you're working your body in diagonal pairs, so opposite arms and legs. Apologies if my hands are disappearing off the screen. Sometimes it's just a little bit awkward getting my camera to stay in place when my hands disappear. So if you're thinking about regular breathing, thinking about your ribs sinking down towards your pelvis, let me go sideways. So if you don't sink your ribs, this is what's happening. So you lose that connection from your upper body to your pelvis. You lose the connection from your contact to your seat. Okay, let's then think about moving through your hips a little bit more now. So hands onto your headlights, relax through your shoulders and into your hip openers. So one leg up, out and down, and the same with the other leg. This is just a mobilizing exercise, so don't worry too much if your body starts to join in, but try to keep it as specific to your hips as possible. And obviously if you do have any hip stiffness, particularly if it's one-sided, don't try and force the movement, do what you can do comfortably. Let's reverse it. So you're taking your leg out to the side and then forwards, out to the side and forwards. Again, relax through your upper body and try and be specific to your legs and hips as much as possible. One more each way. Okie doke. Then go to the end of your mat with your feet together, your knees nice and soft. Try not to fall over. Bet you're on a nice smooth carpeted floor, much easier than my lumpy lawn. Feet together, knees soft, hands on the front of your thighs as you slide them down, your legs curling up through your spine. Pause at the bottom for a nice breath in. As you breathe out, slide your hands up, tuck down with your pelvis, and you're uncurling back up through to the top of your neck. Then again, chin into your chest and focus on each vertebra in turn, moving. Neck between your shoulders, middle of your back, low back, and then your pelvis. Nice breath in, breathe out, bend your knees. We're going down onto your mat and we're going to go onto your back. And we're going to start off with your scissors exercise. And you may well want to have your hands onto your headlights for that little bit of feedback about what your pelvis is up to. Find where your pelvis feels most at home in its sort of neutral position. Pelvic floor onto floor 3. And we'll start just with your scissors, so you're moving from the hip, keeping your knee at 90 degrees. If you want to make it harder, into tabletop, there's each leg in turn, but do make sure you keep those knees at 90 degrees and you end up just paddling from below your knees. Keep your ribs sinking to your pelvis so that you don't end up moving through your body. This is about hip control, it's precision. Precision of hip, precision of leg, precision of your leg aids. Okay, let's move on and do your hip twist. So same starting position, use the feedback from your hands as you roll one leg out and back up, then the other leg out and back up. And I forgot to remind you with your scissors, this is the same, it's a wine glass exercise. So that leg that isn't moving stays completely still. If you want to take it up a notch from tabletop, and remember, in tabletop, it's the whole leg that goes, not just the knee. So you're not just twisting like you did on the floor. Again, ribs to pelvis. Keep this bit of you still. Pelvic floor staying onto floor 3. Okay, we're going to now combine those two. So if you want to go from the floor version, you're taking one leg up into tabletop as you roll one leg out. Bring them back down. And the same thing the other way, ribs are to pelvis, pelvic floor is onto floor 3. Okay, if you want to go from tabletop though, you're taking one leg out as you tuck down to the floor with the other leg. Remember, it's still 90 degrees at the knee. And if you're going from the tabletop one, then that rib position, super important to keep your body still, your nice stable base to move your hips and legs from. Don't forget to breathe. Your pelvic floor onto floor 3 as well. I like doing this one because it's a good way of, your legs are doing two different things at once, which quite often happens when you're in the saddle, lateral work, canter transitions, etc. They're not always doing the same thing. Okie doke. Feet down one at a time, have a little breather. Likewise, sometimes you want to have one leg still and one leg working, so they're rarely doing exactly the same thing all the time, and it's good to practice for that when you're not on the horse. We're going to move on to your shoulder bridge. So if you've got a headrest, slide it out of the way, bring your feet a little bit closer to your bottom, just so we minimise the chance of hamstring cramp. Pelvic floor onto floor 3, then you're imprinting your low back and peel up. Pause for that nice relaxed breathing at the top, and then come back down through your imprint at the bottom, and off you go again. Imprint, and now focus on every single vertebra one at a time, peeling all the way up. Relax breathing at the top, and every vertebra in turn coming back into contact with your mat before you imprint at the bottom. We'll do one more just like that. So imprint, peeling up every single vertebra in turn. Then at the top, you're going to stay there this time, and we're going to do your hip dips. So you're rolling one side down and up, and the other side down and up. Keep that movement small. So you're not trying to do really huge movements. It's a small movement. Even if mine are reasonable size, you might only manage to do 1 or 2 millimeters, that's fine. We're looking for stability on the side that isn't moving. So again, it's one side is still, the other side is on the move, and your knees stay still. If that's a little bit easy, you can make it a bit harder for yourself by bringing your hands over your shoulders. So now you're much more reliant on your pelvis muscles, your glutes, your thigh muscles to keep you there. If you have got your hands above your head, make sure they stay soft and symmetrical. Is that a word, symmetrical? I think so. One more each way. Lovely, and then bring yourself back down, each vertebra in turn through that imprint, then hands back down. Okay, we're going to go onto your side, and we're going to do your side kick. This is a great one for precision of leg positioning. So you want to be in your capital L. If you get any shoulder discomfort, do this flat, it's absolutely fine. Top hand onto your top headlight, pelvic floor onto floor 3, flick top leg, and into that coffee table polishing exercise, keeping your hip, knee and foot as level as possible. And you're looking to keep it really smooth. Hand on here is to give you a bit of feedback, so hopefully you can feel if you start to move through your pelvis, then you're cheating and you're not creating that movement from your hip. If this is a little bit easy, then of course you can make it harder and do this with your pelvis off the floor, provided you can keep breathing and keep your pelvic floor onto floor 3. Also, just watch for relaxation around the top shoulder. Sometimes I see when people go up a level that everything starts to fix and brace. If you end up having to fix and brace, it's probably a step too far for you at the moment, so go back a notch and do that a little bit longer until you can move up safely and easily. Okie doke, let's bring that leg back down. We're going to spin straight round, do the same thing the other way. Same as before, if you get any shoulder pain, do this one flat. Absolutely fine. So floating that top leg and into that coffee table polishing, hip, knee and foot staying level, pelvis absolutely still, so it's all coming from the hip, relaxed shoulder as well. Make sure you're breathing, keep the pelvis floor, nice smooth movement. Okay, then if you want to make it harder, as you did on the other side, lift the pelvis. This is an optional extra, you don't have to do it. And I should say as a reminder, if you find that I'm carrying on with an exercise and you feel you've had enough, do stop. You don't have to keep going with me. I'm giving you kind of what's hopefully the best example. I've designed the session, but you don't have to stay doing all of it. If you feel that you've just done enough today, just stop and have a breather before you pick up the next exercise. Okie doke. Let's bring that leg back down. And we're going to come up into standing. So we're going to do your star lunges, because these are great for really thinking about the dynamic control that comes around your hips and pelvis when you're in the saddle. So I suggest hands onto your headlights. Headlights stay to the front the whole time. So again, we're thinking of that pelvis being stable. Your legs are able to move from there. So headlights forward as you go forwards. diagonal, side, diagonal behind you onto a bent knee, then into the reverse, so onto the bent knee behind you, diagonal, side, diagonal forwards onto a bent knee, then straight off on the other leg, so forwards, diagonal, side, diagonal behind you, back onto that bent knee, and then into the reverse, so back onto the bent knee, diagonal, side, diagonal forwards, and then forwards. Okie doke, feet then planted nice wide apart wherever feels comfortable. And we're going to go over onto one side. Now you may feel a bit of tightness down the inside of this thigh. If you do, that's great. If you don't, just dip your shoulder down towards that foot until you feel a little bit of tightness, and then come back up. And again, over. If you need to dip your shoulder, just do, that's fine. Come back up. And we'll do one more. Over, dip the shoulder if you need to. And then we're going to do the other side, so over onto the bent knee. If you feel the bit of tightness, hold that position, otherwise dip your shoulder. And up, and you'll find that both sides will feel quite different. Mine feel different almost every time I do this. I think it's definitely a reflection of what I've been doing, what time of day it is. Certainly when I teach on a Monday morning, if I always do the same session twice, second session I'll feel much looser doing this, or any stretching exercises, than I did in the first session. Okie doke, we're going to finish there, so good blitz of your hips and your glutes muscles. Hopefully they're not feeling too sore, not too tired. Remember, if there's any weaknesses or imbalances that you've found highlighted in this session, perhaps keep coming back to this one every week for the next few weeks until you feel a little bit more balance between left and right. Look after yourselves, enjoy your ponies, and I'll see you on the next session.